Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
A deadly week in New Haven has people concerned about recent bloodshed in the city, especially involving young people. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. In the past 2 weeks, 2 teenagers have been shot and killed in what police believe were targeted homicides.
Add those names to 2 other homicides this week, and city leaders are doing all they can to put an end to the violence. Fox 61's Kay Pattyfoot spoke with community leaders as well as the New Haven mayor and the chief of police.
At-risk youth in New Haven are often referred to violence prevention programs. Connecticut Violence Intervention and Prevention Program is one of many that offers services to young people. In the wake of 2 teens being shot and killed, community leaders say the need for these services are crucial. The Connecticut Violence Intervention and Prevention Program works with at-risk youth in the New Haven community.
We're contracted to work with youth ages 13 to 24 that are engaged in the most risky activity in the community. So by risky, we allude to shooters, group or gang members, and also victims of community violence.
The program gets referrals from schools, juvenile probations, and other agencies.
We also get referrals from the hospital, parents, Pop Warner football, from the police, and even some federal authorities, who have investigated other people and see a youth who could benefit from our program.
New Haven Police Chief Carl Jacobson said a lot of the violence in the city stems from groups of people not getting along. That's when the city will step in and offer them and their families resources. But they don't always take it.
We also gone to families and said, hey, your house got shot up, your kid's involved in this and that with other kids, and we want to move you or we want to do something, and they won't accept the service.
New Haven Mayor Justin Elliger said the city has increased funding in youth jobs, career pathways, sports, and after-school programming, so youth can see there's another option besides crime.
If a young person's involved in the justice system, for example, they will have probation officer that helps support them. In addition, Clifford Beers is another organization, and CTVIP work very hard to make sure that young people are connected with services.
New Haven Police also relies on their Police Activity League to help young people in the city.
What we've started to do with PAL is focus directly on, hey, who are the kids that are getting in trouble? Let's go to their parents and offer them PAL, because PAL's free.
Jihad tells me in the wake of these 2 homicides, he and the city have been in constant communication to avoid another one from happening. In New Haven, Kay Pattyfoot, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Kay. Turning to the weather now, and while the snow and rain has come to an end, there are still some slippery spots out there tonight.
Certainly. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for our first check at the forecast. And it's windy, Rachel.
Yeah, we've got those winds that are gusting up to about 30 miles an hour. So these aren't damaging winds, but when you combine the gusty winds with temperatures that are in the 30s, it really feels like the 20s, and that is just the start. We think as we head towards daybreak that wind chills will drop back into the single digits and teens, so it is going to feel really cold out there. I'll tell you what, around my driveway, areas that were untreated are looking awfully sparkly and shiny tonight. So throw some salt out there and just know that any untreated surfaces, anything that melted today has refrozen by this point and could be slippery. So roads should be fine because they have been treated, and road crews have been so diligent on working on that today, but just watch that front step. Taking a look through the day tomorrow, it is sunny and brisk. It feels like winter right through the afternoon, with highs struggling just to get to the freezing point. And it feels like the 20s when you factor in a breeze, and another cold night tomorrow night with overnight lows dipping back into the teens. We have a couple changes for the weekend forecast, maybe a few flakes flying through the air. We'll talk about it coming up.
Rachel, thank you. And right now, an old landmark could soon see new life in New London. It's been months since the iconic First Congregational Church collapsed in the heart of the city, and tonight, changes are in the works for that former site.
City leaders are weighing the options for a new mixed-use facility where the church used to be. Fox 61's Stefan Reels shares what we know so far.
Now, we're still keeping an eye out here at City Hall to see what is actually going to come out of this meeting. But for a lot of people, they're waiting to get their first real idea of what's going to happen to that land where the First Congregational Church used to stand. Almost a year since the roof of the historic church suddenly caved in and left a gaping hole in the center of the building. The space has been reduced to rubble now, and many have been wondering what will take its place, if anything. The agenda from this planning and zoning meeting gives us a little idea of what we can expect. The new mixed-use building would have 46 apartments on the higher floors and space for business on the first floor. Past that, there is actually very little information available to the public about this plan at this time. At the moment, there is no timeline for when this project would begin or finish if city leaders do give the thumbs up. So we're going to be keeping our eyes out on that. But for now, in New London, Stephen Reels, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, thank you, Stefan. And we have new developments in a story now making national headlines that you first saw here on Fox 61. Anthem Insurance has reversed course on a proposal that would have put a time limit on coverage of anesthesia treatments during surgery.
Now, this change was set to take effect in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri, but some state leaders and healthcare industry experts say Fox 61's coverage of the issue was a key reason for the change here. Fox 61's Matt Caron has more on the decision.
A victory for patients and providers. Doctors and state leaders are saying our initial coverage on November 21st put the multi-billion-dollar insurance company under an uncomfortable microscope. And just hours ago, Anthem backed down.
This is cruel. This is profit-driven. This is greed-based.
Few people know how money and medicine mix better than State Senator Saud Anwar, a lawmaker who's also a doctor.
The fact that they are coming up with such a policy on their end tells us what kind of company they are.
Fox 61's initial story put the spotlight on Anthem for a controversial policy change that would have cut off anesthesia coverage at an arbitrary time limit during surgery. The company responded with an initial statement gaslighting doctors, blaming them for inaccurate billing, saying the policy, quote, identified additional ways to safeguard against potential anesthesia provider overbilling.
For them to say that people are taking longer time for the surgeries is far from the reality.
The policy changes sparked fear that surgeries would be rushed. Providers would be incentivized to choose patients with a lower chance of surgical complications.
This might even constitute an unfair insurance practices claim. So we're going to be looking into it. I'm reaching out to Anthem today, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
The issue caught the attention of state leaders like Comptroller Sean Scanlon.
My office was hearing from constituents all across Connecticut who were scared, concerned, outraged.
And Attorney General William Tong. They fought back.
So what does that mean? Are doctors going to be waking patients up in the middle of surgery, or are they going to be rushing through surgery because they won't get paid? And then on top of that, there'll be a surprise medical bill for patients after their surgery if the anesthesia goes on too long. Come on, Anthem, you could do better than this.
A sentiment shared by many across the state who have not only criticized Anthem for their policy on anesthesia, but for slashing reimbursement rates for special needs therapy providers like speech pathologists and occupational therapists. That has resulted in higher copays and reduced appointment time. In the end, Anthem reversed course.
It applies to every single person in Connecticut, whether they're on the state employee plan or whether they have a commercial plan through Anthem. At the end of the day, they're not going to carry forward this policy, and that's a win for the state of Connecticut.
Reporting in Wallingford, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And Anthem released a statement on the matter to Fox 61 saying their decision to reverse course was due in part to, quote, significant widespread misinformation about an update to their anesthesia policy. Anthem says the proposed update was designed to clarify the appropriateness of anesthesia consistent with well-established clinical guidelines.
Well, Stanford man's in the hospital tonight. He was hit by a CT transit bus and has serious injuries. It happened just before 5 o'clock on Glenbrook Road. The bus driver stopped and called 911. Police believe the man may have fallen from the sidewalk into the street. At last check, the man is listed in critical condition.
Multiple people are without a home after a fire in New Haven. Firefighters responded to a 2.5-story home on Lloyd Street around 3:30 p.m. and found heavy flames coming from the back of that home. Firefighters quickly brought the fire under control. No one was hurt. 13 people are now displaced, though, and fire officials are investigating the the cause.
The holiday spirit is strong tonight in Wethersfield. The tree is now shining bright on Main Street. People pack the streets to ring in the holiday season. Look how pretty that looks, right out of a movie.
Nice.
The annual tradition shuts down a section of Main Street for hours. People enjoyed festive food, drinks, and other fun holiday activities. For more information on all the upcoming holiday events, you can go to our website, fox61.com.